24 side, I'll kind of go into that, why there's 2 stations in one. I'm over on the morning show. So actually the funny thing is this is technically like the end of my shift. I've been doing morning show features as well as all of our education segments. So I actually met some of the teachers here at your guys' high school because I did a project with Mariko Williams, one of the teachers. She was chosen as our educator of the week. So I got to come into the classroom. So kind of cool to also hear that a high school has a broadcasting class because actually a majority of them don't. So, but as I kind of get like my camera set up, we don't have to like necessarily do much with it, but I'll just kind of set it up so we can use it. I kind of want actually everyone, if you don't mind, to just go around, say your name, what grade you are, and also why you're in the broadcasting class or have interest. So let's actually start in the back with the hoodie.
Yes.
So then each person tell me your name, what grade you are, and then also just why you expressed interest. It doesn't have to be anything profound. It could literally just be like, I wanted to hear more, or you could say like, hey, I'm actually actively pursuing that in college. So teach their own. We'll start with you, sir, in the back.
I'm Evan, I'm a sophomore, and I'm interested in like technology.
Okay, awesome. And then also one thing, when you guys say it, just because I'm a little far, just speak super loud. And we'll kind of go around. I know it's obviously not very even, but if you want to kind of continue over here.
I'm Shane Hall. I'm a sophomore, and I'm in MTA because I was interested in how pictures in a movie could set a tone.
Awesome. I like that. I like that. Okay, let's just continue going around that table. We'll kind of go table by table. So whoever's next over there.
My name is Kai. I'm a sophomore, and I'm in MTA because I just have an interest in videos.
Awesome. Okay.
My name is JC. I'm a sophomore and I'm interested in cameras.
Okay.
My name is Nathaniel, and I'm a sophomore, and I'm interested in technology.
Great.
My name is Anna. I'm a sophomore, and making videos.
Fabulous. This table?
My name is Yanis, I'm a sophomore, and I'm in MTA because I sometimes want to be in commercial business.
Great.
My name's Robert. I'm a sophomore, and I learned about this, and I thought it'd just be fun, so I just wanted to try it out.
Fantastic.
My name's Andrea, and I'm a sophomore, and I like to be like in front of the camera. My name is Sophie. I'm a sophomore. I like to be like
Okay. And this table right here?
Hi, I'm Naviv, and I'm also a sophomore, and I like in MTA because I like publicly speaking and like just being on camera.
Great.
I'm Sabrina, I'm a sophomore, and I'm just like interested in technology.
Great.
I'm Miss Beatty and I'm a sophomore and I like editing because it's fun.
It's fun. I love editing too. We'll actually jump over this hill.
Oh, my name is Victoria, I'm a junior, and I'm like filming and my name is Jasmine, I'm a sophomore, and I'm going towards like photo.
Great.
So I'm trying to stick around and everything after that.
Great.
My name is Daniel, I'm a senior, and the reason why I'm in MTA is because I really want to get into cinematography and editing.
Great.
My name's Joel, and
Okay.
My name is Vanessa and I'm a junior and I love videos.
My name is Angelina, I'm a junior, and I enjoy the editing process of making videos.
My name is Ravenna, I'm a junior, and I thought broadcasting would be actually really interesting and I wanted to learn more about it.
My name is Hudson, and I'm a sophomore, and I also like working with computers and technology.
My name's Nathan. I'm a sophomore. I thought it was cool to produce videos and how other people see it.
Absolutely. At this table.
My name is Naomi, I'm a senior, and I'm really interested in broadcast journalism and publicity.
My name is Sienna, I'm a senior and I'm interested in pursuing film and broadcasting in the future.
My name is Gabby, and I'm a senior, and I just like to
My name is Andrew, and I'm a senior, and I just like to do this here.
My name is Taylor and I'm a senior and I'm interested in pursuing a news broadcaster or sports broadcaster.
I was going to say, with that jersey and your voice and how loud you are, I assumed you wanted to go to sports.
Either one of the two.
I also say that because I went to a broadcasting college, and like if you looked around a room, I went to a journalism school. But if you looked around the room, like you could tell exactly what each person wanted to do just by the way they held themselves. I loved hearing each of your guys' answers also because when I was in high school, I kind of had a path that I thought I wanted to take. And then, though I did still go into journalism, which is what I wanted, I wound up switching to broadcast from print. And so it's really interesting to hear kind of, you know, just each person. Not everyone knows exactly like, okay, I want to go into broadcasting for this reason. Some people just want to know more about it, and I think it's pretty incredible that you guys chose and were able to be here because just learning little bits about different industries I think is so important, especially when you're in high school. Because who are the seniors again? Raise your hand. How many times have your family member asked you, oh, awesome, so what's next? So what do you want to do? What college are you going to? And though it is the obvious question for a senior, someone pursuing that, it's also like, okay. Or heck, you may not know, or you may know exactly what you want, and it's also pretty terrifying and exciting at the same time. So I'm just going to go on a little bit about myself because that actually transitions into how I actually started working with actually at KC24 and moving to Fresno. I'm not originally from here. I was born and raised in a small town in Southern California, like very small, 5,000 people, and then moved to Chandler, Arizona. Has anyone ever been to Phoenix before? Yeah, awesome. So I'm from Phoenix. That's what I tell people. I grew up until I was 10 in Southern California. Moved to Phoenix, and I was very, very blessed that even though I graduated during the recession, the university in my backyard has the best journalism school in the country. It rivals that and Syracuse and USC. So I was so fortunate that that was a resource that I had, and I was able to get a scholarship to that university. So I went through high school, and something that I knew that I wanted to do, I love talking. Anyone who meets me will know right away that I love talking, and I tend to be a word vomiter. And so if you're pretty talkative, don't worry, you can harness those skills and get a job. But also I love writing. I love writing. That was something I excelled in. Even though I was in AP classes, math made me cry. I should have never taken calculus. I should have just stuck with stats. Like, I went through all the AP classes when it came to writing, and I thought, okay, I need to utilize those skills. That's what I'm going to be. So I actually wanted to be a magazine editor. Now, I want to remind you guys, this was about a decade ago, and like in high school, we all read magazines. Like, that's what we bought, that's what we subscribed to. I didn't have an iPod. Like, that's what we had. And it was just transitioning to everything having websites. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't look at that in the sense of, okay, people are no longer going to be buying these. They're going to be buying something right here, or they're going to be clicking on their phone for something. So I actually went into the journalism program. I just said, okay, I want to be a magazine editor. That's what I love. So I didn't know exactly what type of magazine, but I knew that I wanted to tell stories. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to interview people, and I wanted to hear their stories, and I wanted to tell their stories. Once I got into college, I very quickly realized that, yes, print journalism, it is not dead. If you do want to go into journalism, people will try to tell you that. It is not dead. It's transforming. You read things wherever you go. You just don't necessarily pick up a newspaper every day at your age. But I knew, okay, I'm going to have to learn how to work with cameras because everyone's talking about blogs and websites. And at home, I don't even have a camera. I don't know how to use, I literally thought, I don't know how to use a camera other than my really cool, like, point and shoot digital camera. Like, we all use those instead of our cell phones to take pictures. So I like took those on my band trips and my softball trips, right? And I always loved documenting. I loved taking pictures. Who here has like thousands of photos in their iPhone? Yeah. Yeah. Who here has like thousands of videos in there? Because a lot of you guys said you love taking videos. Yes. I think that's a really good sign to say that you guys like telling stories. Even though it could be a silly Snapchat, even though it could be a video that you take of your dog after work like I do, you're kind of telling a story of your day, right? How many of you, when you first wake up, you log on to Instagram and you don't even like search the feed anymore, you just hit the stories? I do. Snapchat? Yeah. Or you scroll on the highlights on Twitter? You see what's going on for the day? Yeah. So, actually, pop quiz, can anyone tell me what happened yesterday and that's a big highlight today?
The Oval Office address.
Boom, yes. So that's going to be on any highlight you see on Twitter, but like also, when we're looking at our Instagram stories, that's literally a story that someone you follow, someone you may know, is saying is newsworthy to them. For me this morning, I was on air with a fitness expert. We're talking about New Year's resolutions. For our morning show, I do a lot of features. So we were in the studio learning five different techniques people can use with any body type to have a healthy body. So I was with a girl there. So we were like videoing in there. I was tagging her, I was tagging the station. So you'll know, okay, that's my story of the day. That's what I'm doing. I took a picture of the front of the school. I'm gonna take a picture of you guys. You know, then it's like, okay, then Christina went from Fresno to Porterville. Let me tell you right now, I did also snap a picture of my snack. And I can tell you right now, there's gonna be a video of my dog later. His name's Kona, he's very cute. So that's Christina's story, right? Now that may not be newsworthy to someone with a giant publication, but for any of my followers and my friends, and definitely my mother, who also has an Instagram, like that's how they know what was newsworthy to me. So that's just a different way to story tell, right? But I love telling stories, which is how I knew, quite honestly, which is how I knew I wanted to go into journalism. I still didn't really know anything about it though. I was like, I like reading the newspaper, I like magazines, and at that time, like I liked blogs. I was like, okay, how do I use that? I did like watching TV. I never, ever, ever would have thought that I would be on TV. Like never in a million years did I say like, I want to go into broadcast journalism because I want to be a news anchor. I just didn't know anything about it. So I go to college, and then at Arizona State, they really said like, you need to learn how to use multimedia stuff, which is even more relevant today. If any of you guys want to learn anything, I really recommend, and you guys are already doing that by being in these classes, that you just learn how to take a proper video, learn how to take a proper sequence, learn how to edit it together, and you learn how to post it. Because that's gonna benefit you guys in any career you have, whether you're a small business owner, an attorney, someone who works in janitorial work, someone who works on camera on TV. Someone always has to document something. So learn how to do that, and you guys are already on the right track for that. So then at Arizona State, I went into a 4-year journalism program. And just as some basic info, if you guys want to go into a journalism program somewhere, first of all, Fresno State has a killer journalism program in the state of California. A killer one. And it is far from here, but it's kind of in your guys' backyard. They really do. A lot of the people that you guys see on the news, the things you read, the people you follow, any headline you read is most likely written by a Fresno State grad here. And it's actually, and I'll tell you more about the market, but it's pretty incredible to see. So know that's at your resource there. But most journalism programs are about 4 years. You can actually do them in 3. However, you want to intern, and we're going to get into that later. It's also all about who you know and what type of charisma you have and how you network. That's going to be a huge thing. But so that's how I got into everything, and then I had a few professors and friends be like, I know you love print, I know you love writing, but you like really talk a lot, right? And they're stereotypes and they're funny, and like anyone who went to a J school could like tell you the funny stereotypes. But like I worked in the Arizona State newspaper, and when I got that job, I was so excited. But literally, our department was at the bottom in the basement of a building with lamps. There were no overhead lights. But like if you watch a movie about a newspaper, like that's how they all are. You're like in the basement writing. But I loved it. I loved storytelling. I loved interviewing people. I just loved knowing what was going on. Anyone have like fear of missing out? FOMO? For sure. Yeah, for sure be a journalist, because you will always know what's going on. I hate fear of missing out. On the way here, there was a huge amount of smoke off the 99 when I was going southbound to Fresno to here. Called the desk, and immediately I was like, hey, there's huge plumes of smoke. I think it's coming from the industrial area. What's going on? They checked the scanners. There's an industrial fire. Boom. Yeah, like don't hit up the 99 right now. Not that any of you guys could here in class, but see, so at least I know what's going on the freeway. I know why I had traffic on the 99 when I was going through Kingsburg. You know? So if you have fear of missing out, it's also probably another good sign that you may want to go into this industry. But with all that being said, someone recommended that to me, and I have to be honest, I always had kind of a stereotype or a stigma of someone who was in broadcasting. I thought that they were all blonde, I thought that they were all very skinny, and I thought that they all like wore very tight dresses on TV. That's like all I knew about news anchors. I had never met one, I didn't know anything about it. And then I had someone recommend it, and I go, okay, like I'll give it a thought, thank you, I don't know. And then all of a sudden I became a consumer of news. I started watching reporting. I started listening to reporting on the radio. I started paying more attention to what they were putting out, and I was like, oh my gosh, these people are very smart. Oh my gosh, they talk to who? So I really, honestly, it was very humbling, because I just realized that I had just never, consumed that news. I didn't know that. And I also didn't realize what they were talking about was also what was printed in the paper, and a lot of times the person who said that is the person who wrote that. And I thought, wow, it's just a different way. Someone who picks up a newspaper, someone who clicks on their app, someone who watches it on TV, they're a lot of times getting the same headlines. It's being told in a different way. So I actually wound up going into broadcasting because I got an incredible mentor, It's going to be something huge. And again, we'll go more into internships and mentorship. I had an incredible mentor who is actually one of our main anchors. Her name is Catherine Anaya, and over in Phoenix. And I'm also bilingual. And so when I was studying Spanish in college and going through my upper level classes, I really sought a lot after her because I knew that whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to be able to communicate with a larger demographic than just English speakers. Ugh. I can't even speak English sometimes. Speakers. My dad's first language was French, and he really struggled with learning English. And I just thought, well, there's no actual language in the United States, but I'm from Southern California and Arizona. I should definitely know Spanish. So she was a great mentor to me in that. So then I graduated college, and actually just after a weird turn of events, I actually wound up working at a magazine for about 3 years. I wasn't ready to go into broadcasting. I actually got in a car accident. I had some physical therapy I had to do. So once I finished that, I knew that I was ready to go back into broadcasting. But the reason I hesitated a little bit was because when you go out somewhere, which is how Mariko Williams met me, which is how Mr. Stiles met me, you've got to bring this wherever you go. I mean, you have to carry it. When I walked in here, I didn't have a cameraman. I had a bag, I had a tripod, and myself. When I was actually going to Mariko Williams' classroom, I also had a giant check. I literally brought in one of those really gaudy checks, so it's like me waddling through your campus, going to film something. That's how most reporters look these days, waddling their way in somewhere very quickly, out of breath, doing something. That's kind of how we roll. So I was very, very fortunate from working at that magazine. I started working at Arizona PBS. Does anyone here watch PBS by chance? That is gold. So I happen to actually just be very old school in a lot of things, even though it's kind of funny because I am a decade older than most of you guys. On top of that, for being a millennial, I'm very old school. I still wish everyone picked up the paper every day. I love bylines. I love having one, but also when it comes to news and watching TV, PBS is a great source of news, just so you guys all know. It's a public broadcast service, so they are fantastic. So I started working at Arizona PBS. And I was very, very fortunate that I got my on-air reporting job there, and I also was a 2-day-a-week anchor over there. So it was really incredible, and we told hard news and breaking news. But I have a question. What do you guys think of when you think of breaking news? I'm going to go around.
Probably something that's really I don't know how to say it. Yeah.
Urgent?
Yeah, something that's super important that just happened.
Yeah.
Like a tragedy or a disaster.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say something bad that happened. If
Yeah.
you know that.
Yeah. Did you know?
No, he said it.
You're, okay. Do you have one?
Oh, no.
But all of those are very correct. Something urgent. Not all breaking news is bad. However, I would say about 80% of it is. So breaking news would be the Ferguson fire up in Yosemite. It started the campfire. Anytime you hear a gunshot and it hit a person, anytime it could impact your brother, your sister, you, that's breaking news. But it's something that immediately happened, and it's going to impact other people. So right now, if I drop a pencil, that's really just impacting me. No one cares, right? If I was right here and I fell over because I was really hungry and didn't eat, is that gonna impact people on the 99? I mean, you guys would be freaked out, I'd be embarrassed, but that's really no one died, we're all gonna be okay. If one of you sneeze in class, the news cameras aren't gonna be in your face. But it's something that immediately impacts other people, and something that could impact everyone's day-to-day life. Actually, when the Fresno State men's basketball coach got fired, that was actually huge breaking news because that hadn't happened in so long, and there was a lawsuit behind it. So that happened, and for the sports world, that was super huge. So that's breaking news. And so we did breaking news, but we didn't do anything that was bleeding or on fire. It's a very graphic way to look at it. But so I was kind of limited to being in the studio, which is great. I'm still giving fantastic information, but for a reporter, whether you want to work your way up the ladder or you want to just get more experience, unfortunately, you kind of need to be in uncomfortable situations. But you also need to be where it's happening, right? It's one thing if I'm sitting here at a desk and I tell you guys, this is gonna fall, you're gonna hear it, just so you know. Everyone, there's a fire on the 99. The entire 99 is closed. If any of your parents are at work, tell them they can't come home. Don't get on the freeway, they'll be backed up for 7 days. There's 100 cars out there. Be careful. And then 5 of you are oh my gosh, my cousin's out on the 99. What's gonna happen? We're we're gonna give you live updates. and I'm just sitting at the desk. I'm like, it's really bad, don't go out there. Super bad. Okay, you may trust me, you may believe me because I'm like, I'm on the news, right? That statement I think is so funny. Like, well, you're on the news, you know what's going on. I'm like, I'm about everything. But if I'm out there with this camera and literally there's flames behind me and I'm like, the 99 is on fire, look at all of these cars, the flames started here, they're going here, and by the way, they're on their way over there, like, don't drive that way. You see it, you hear it, you believe it. But also, again, you get to see it, so you get to make your own conclusions about the fire. If I'm sitting here, yes, I am telling you a fact of it, but up here, I'm telling you, take a look. I want you, after we get done with this, you'll know some key words to always listen to when you hear a news report. But I always say, like, take a look. Because if someone's at home washing the dishes, but their TV is on, I want them to stop what they're doing and look at how bad this is. Take a look at what this is over here. As you can see, there's, plumes of smoke, blah, blah, blah. You describe it. So that's why I knew that I wanted to go ahead and transition out of Arizona PBS. So does anyone know much about, quote, the Fresno market or the Central Valley when it comes to news? This is like very industry based, so I don't assume a lot of people do, but does anyone know?
I remember we went to a field trip to Fresno State, but they told us that like the Fresno, they produces like one of like the biggest like broadcasting markets in California.
It's the fourth biggest broadcast market in the state. And if you think about the state of California is the 6th largest economy in the world. Just the state of California rivals China, right? Just the state of California. So pretend the US is not there, right? The 4th largest market in the state of California, meaning like, we got a lot of people. We got a lot of area to cover. So our, what we call broadcasting market, is from half of Kern County, we share it with Bakersfield. So I always tell people Bakersfield to like San Jose and Sacramento, San Luis Obispo to Yosemite. So it's all of this. Meaning we cover all of that. Porterville, falls right in there, right? Kings County going up over there, and like Yosemite is its own beast. All of Mariposa County, the counties after that, like all of that's our area, meaning when they turn on their TV, if they turn on NBC, they're gonna see us. So if you lived in Sacramento, Sacramento's a different market. It's literally called the Sacramento market. But they technically have more people, but they have less area. Just because there's more people that live in Sacramento compared to like all of our cities combined. But their market's huge. We are a top 50 market in the United States. And there's about 225 broadcasting markets. So that's basically just like, if you're in Wisconsin, you're gonna turn on NBC, and if you're in a certain city, you're just gonna see different news folk than you are like over here. So there are 225 markets. So when you graduate college as a broadcasting major or as a reporter of any kind, you normally go to like broadcasting market like 150 to 250. And you know why? Anyone take a guess? Why, when you first graduate college, you've got your new skills, you may have interned one place, you kind of go to a small place. Any guess? Especially if you're like on camera or working with cameras.
Because you're kind of like fresh out and you may have like stuff that you learned in the classroom, but not like stuff that you learned in like the actual studio.
Totally. Exactly. Remind your name again? Naomi. You are correct. So basically, they're saying, awesome, you're good enough to have a job. However, we're not going to send you to LA. That's one of the top 2 markets because you're going to have, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So we would rather have you in Tyler, Texas, or Springfield, Missouri, or Chico, California, or Bakersfield, California, because it's smaller, there are less people who watch it, and you will get to do more things with your one position. So for them, honestly, you start in Tyler, Texas, because the moment that red dot turns on, you're like, yep, there's a fire behind me. I want you to all see it. It's burning and it's bad. You're terrified. Honestly, you're terrified. And if you think, the one thing you don't do when you're on live TV, don't think about how many people are on the other side, because that's like really scary, honestly. It's really scary. It's better just to be like, oh, I work in a studio, I work out in the field, okay, cool, and like not think about it, because you will totally mess up. The amount of mistakes I've had here in Fresno are like giggle worthy. I had not like a bad one, but like a funny one this morning. I forgot we're supposed to, when I'm in the studio, I finish a segment, and I'm supposed to say, and next up, we're going to hear what's going on the Today Show. And then they cut to video of the Today Show giving us their headlines. I forgot. And literally, it's just on me, and I go, oh, and hey, don't forget, we're going to hear from the Today Show. Luckily, it worked with the segment. That's part of my personality as well in the morning show. So it was not, like, I was not on the 5 o'clock news forgetting that. But I was ad-lib, and I 100% just forgot. And then literally our camera guy's like, Today Show. So like that's gonna happen. But you go to the small markets because you need to make your mistake somewhere and you need to get it out all the way. And if you is anyone here not from the Central Valley? It's from like their family maybe from like a really large city? Where's your family from?
LA.
LA. So if you go to LA and you get in front of the camera and you've never had practice and your first live shot, right, is in front of millions of people, you're gonna pass out, like 100%. It's terrifying. But also, they're saying, we want this seasoned professional who has been in this industry for years because they have the experience, people trust them, people know them, and they'll know what to do in this weird situation instead of someone who's like, I've never reported at city council before. Like, because every day is different. Every day is different. So, you start off in a small market, right? And then you move your way up. So out of 225 markets, Fresno is a top 50 market. That's pretty big. It's considered either a small, larger market or a medium-sized market. It's a place where also people like start their families. If you travel a lot because you're a broadcaster, again, I'm from Phoenix, I moved to Fresno for the job, and you want to like work your way up, you want to start in Tyler, Texas, move to like Wisconsin, move to Milwaukee, then move to Fresno. Maybe like you want to start your family here. It's like a good place for people to actually live. Not a lot of people want to start their life in Tyler, Texas. That's always the example I give. If you're from Tyler, Texas, I'm sorry, but like it's a very small place, and you probably moved there. Your family's probably not from there. So if you want to go back to your family, if your family ever wanted to go back to LA and you want to be a broadcaster, it's just going to take a while, right? Because you got to go from 225 to market number 1. It's very competitive. So. It's a very large market, and here in Fresno, we're considered a breaking news market because, again, the area that we cover, we have major freeways, we're in the largest, like the most expensive state in the United States. We have a huge gang population here in the Central Valley and in the entire state. We also have 70% of the U.S.'s fruits, vegetables, and proteins come from the Central Valley. We could have a news market alone on just agriculture. What kind of stories do you think come from agriculture? Like if you want to, yes.
The drought.
Say that again?
The drought.
The drought, yes, water. Water's huge. Water could be its own news market, but that's very specific. Water, the drought, yes. What else could be a story about agriculture?
Weather, like if we have high freeze warnings for citrus.
That's actually great, and that's actually something huge we've been watching the past few weeks because we've had freeze warnings. It's been very cold here, by the way, so today's been a bit warmer. So sorry, everyone, it's been the 20s and 30s. Anyone else? Absolutely. Impacts the farm next to you. Or hey, do you want to eat something with a pesticide? Nah. But do we have them? Do we need them? Yeah. Yeah? Well, here's another thing. What about theft? Do you know how many cattle people steal? One of the largest, it's called cattle wrangling. It's a real word. And it's not actually like wrangling or rustling, but it's called wrangling and rustling, meaning someone is, well, they're one of the largest cases of cattle rustling and cattle wrangling, which is literally just theft, someone stealing cattle, was right in Tulare County last year, last Christmas Day. They arrested the guy from Tulare County, millions of cattle, millions of dollars. It's also trade, so they do it digitally as well as financially. So like the cattle aren't necessarily here in Tulare County, the guy and the farmers were here in Tulare County, but they all own thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of cattle across the U.S. The largest embezzlement was right here in Tulare County. So there's theft and there's crime that all need to have people monitoring, listening, and seeing of what's going on. So that, I know that's really heavy, you guys. I know that was a really heavy example, but I always like to give people an example like that pretty in-depth because it shows the reality of what you're doing and how important every moment is. So when it comes to that, when we were talking to Jessica, who was hurt, praise God, she is okay. She's back bringing at Disneyland after a year. When we're talking to her, you know what we want to know? How are you doing? What was that like? Where do you find hope? What do you want to say to people at home? What do you want to say to the gunman? You want to know the in-depth of their heart of what they're talking about. So as a reporter, though people are monitoring all of this going on, your job is literally to sit right next to that person and feel what they're feeling and ask the hard questions. Because I'm going to tell you, you don't want to you don't want to be on the phone with her. You wish that never happened. But this was like a local gal who literally, you guys, she's from Sanger. You guys know what a close-knit community that is. It'd be like if something happened in Porterville. Oh my gosh, that whole entire community rallied around her. So then you look at the hopeful stories that you can tell to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. So there's a million stories that can go along with that. So that's why when things happen anywhere, those guys are doing this. Figuring out what's going on, who's they're talking to. So, for more happy and peppy news, back to the agenda of the day. You walk in, that's what you see. As a reporter, you walk in around 9 o'clock. You need to get ready for the day, and you need to have 3 story pitches, which means you need to know what's going on. So you need to go ahead and have those ready, because by the time your 9:30 meeting comes up, you all are in an editorial meeting, and it's like 3 of these tables wrapped into one. There's all the reporters, we've got our news director, and then we have that assignment desk editor who knows what's going on already of the day. So you have to come up with 3 stories and know that you can turn them that day. Turning means what?
Getting them out.
Getting them out. You got to turn that story that day. So you just need to get the news out there, right? So you are just there, and you've got to make sure that that story, whatever it is, the people are available for an interview. And what you'll find out is in this profession, you cannot control anything. So you got to work on other people's schedules. So you need to make sure which means before work, you need to have made the calls. Know what's going on, make some calls. So when you walk into that editorial meeting, you know Billy Bob can talk to me at 11 o'clock about this, and at 12:30, Joanne can talk to me about this, and then we're going to tell her story, and it's going to be, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to shoot it, I'm going to come back and write it, I'm going to edit it, it's going to be on air at 5, I'll be live in the studio, or I'll be live outside. You got to know. So you come in, you do that. Well, when you're in that editorial meeting, assignment desk editor over here goes, hey, Christina, actually, we had this really big fire burst out. I don't know. Fires is what the example I've been giving. But we had a huge fire in midair right up there. So me and a photog get in a car and we go up there. The reason that you're in the car with the photographer in those cases is because safety, first of all. Second of all, also, when you're doing a live shot, you should almost never be alone. Because if I'm doing a live shot right here, and I'm talking to the camera and it's live, and I'm like, hello everyone, there's a fire, watch out. What can I not see? Exactly. I have no idea, and I'm a sitting duck. So like a fire could come up, someone could come behind me. Like, I don't want to wind up on YouTube, right? I do not want to wind up on one of those spoofs on YouTube, but it really is because you're telling the audience important information, but you don't want Billy Bob in the corner coming up and putting bunny ears behind you or doing something way worse, right? You've all seen YouTube videos, so like you don't want to wind up on YouTube. But so you're out with a photog, you go out there, and here's the thing. The assignment editor only knows, hey, there's a fire. It is your job to figure out what happened. So you just go out there, you make calls on the way up, you talk to the communications director, public information officer for the fire department, you call them, hey, we're on their way to this fire, how bad is it? Hey, we got 5 families displaced. That means they don't have a home. So we had 5 houses burned down. These 5 families don't have a home. We get there, we see someone covered in ash. We go up to them, are you okay? What happened? And that person's like, my baby, that man just saved my baby from the burning building. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. We have the microphone. We're like, you're burning, and your baby's name is this? Okay. And then we run to find the man, and we're like, you heroically saved this. Tell us what happened. So we just hear what happened from everyone, right? You just ask them, what happened? What time did it start? How are you feeling? How are you doing? And you just listen to what they say, right? If you need to ask, you always get their information, all that. You ask what happened. Then you go to the police officer, fire officer, or whatnot. Okay, tell me the facts of the case. The fire was this big. It started this way. Yes, I can confirm that that's what that person said was correct. It's going to take us this long to clean up. We use this many engines. Okay. So you go and you get all that information. That takes a long time. Sometimes, you know what they're gonna say? Awesome, you left at 10 in the morning, the fire was cleaned up by 11. We have an 11 o'clock midday show, we want you live. There's not a story yet, right? I've filmed all this stuff, but I haven't, all that footage, I haven't sent back to the station. So that means they're just gonna take me live and I'm gonna talk about it. We're gonna walk and talk, Botog's gonna have the camera. I'm gonna say, take a look at this. This is an example of how bad it was. It spanned all of these houses. There's now 20 people that don't have a home here, but also we're waiting to hear from management to see where they're gonna be sleeping tonight. Okay, bye. Casey, live in Fresno, Christina Tetreault, KC24. Boom. So then we've got to do live shots 11, 11:30 noon. Took up another hour and a half of our day. We've got to either go back to the station or we have a laptop and what we call, so I don't know if you guys use any of this equipment, but we have a laptop. We edit on Avid right now. We're transitioning to Adobe Premiere. Very excited about it. I love Premiere. For whoever said that they loved editing, I also love editing. It's like really fun for me. For a lot of people it's not, but it's really fun for me because you get your creative freedom, right? You get to choose where things go. You get to make your own transitions. So you get that, and then you either do it in the car, literally, if you ever see a news car outside, just check if someone's inside because most likely there's like a person like in a crouching position like this. And like, that's us. The Detweiler fire, which happened in Mariposa County in 2017 all summer, I was up there straight for 2 weeks, and like you would just see us like in an SUV like this, like that, and then we'd drive back up, get home at 9 o'clock at night, do it again the next morning. So you always see that. So just always like take a look. There's totally someone in there doing something. So you do that, and then we use what's called a live view, and it's basically a giant Wi-Fi pack, and it sends our video back to the station once we've edited it, write it, get script approval, edit the video, send it back, then they can play it on the newscast. So you have to send it in long before 5 o'clock because you're live at 5. You're live at 5 and you're like, look at all these ashes, the house is burned down, it's horrible, but this is what happened earlier. Boom. You go into your story plays. You've got about 90 seconds, each story is only about a minute and a half, and then you end it and you're like, you have more information than you tell them live in Fresno, Christina Tetreault, KC24. Boom. So that's how the day-to-day goes. But then, what do you think throughout the day, even though my story is done on air, what do you think I have to do before I can go home?
Research for a new story.
That's actually really good, always. I have a rule of thumb. Wherever I am, if I'm going somewhere one day, I'm coming back with at least 2 story pitches. Meaning, when I came down here to go do one story with Lisa Williams, I was going to be in Porterville. By the time I got back up, I was going to talk to enough people that I was going to have enough story pitches for 2 more stories that I could do later on. So that's what I was going to do. Yes, however, before that, I just heard you whisper something and I went to
Oh, I was talking to the time.
Oh, okay. It's 10:13. So, you've got to put it up on the web. So, my script, I have to change it to what we call web style. For us, it's AP style. Boom, boom, boom. Post it on the web. Cut the video. So, if you look at a web story, you're like 90% of the time just going to watch the video. I literally, when I went on air, I then cut it in our internal system, cut it, condense it, put it in there, and then I post it out on social media. It goes out on KC24, CBS 47, and then my own social media. Then I'm done for the day. So that's the normal flow of a reporter. However, we have reporters from 3 a.m. until 1 p.m., 9:30 to 6:30, 3 o'clock to 11:30 at night, because we have so all. And then there's about 3 hours in between. There's no reporter, but we have producers, assignment desk editors overnight that are there, and if they need to call us in, you get a little call on that bad boy and you run out there. So, before I go into more fun camera stuff, because I've just been like a talking head this whole time, who has questions about that? You guys like totally have to have a question.
How do you do the live broadcast just by yourself?
Great question. So literally they call it being a backpack journalist because literally everything you need maybe fits in a backpack. Mine's a bag. But we literally have these backpacks. It's called a live view, and it's like a live unit. You hardwire it into this camera, and it literally makes whatever my camera's shooting at live. So that signal sends it back to the station. They can see me, whether I'm on air or not, like the station can see me. That's one thing you have to keep in mind. When you're a broadcast reporter, if the camera's on, it doesn't matter if people at home can see you, someone can always see you in your building. So like if your microphone's hot, if you're on camera, you just gotta be very careful. So it literally is basically a giant Wi-Fi pack. It's like a giant Wi-Fi pack. And literally, if you go down to Bakersfield, all of their reporters are doing live shots themselves. So you know what they do? They get the camera set up exactly where they want. They do this. They stand in front of the camera. It's gonna be like a super close. All auto. Hello world. All right, all auto. I'm gonna face it down a little bit. No need to see my double chin. Look back here. They totally exist on camera. Hi everyone, we're live in this library. We're not live. It's just again. You flip it. You just flip the camera, and you see them, and you're like, as you can see, look at all this fire. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. It's so bad. You walk out of camera, but you're still talking. Look how bad the fire is. And as you can tell, the flames are just not stopping. And wow, it's so bad. Can you see how big the flames are? All right, guys, back to you. Yeah. So, doing it by yourself, quality-wise, does not look as great, but in small markets, that's what you do. You do it live. You're in a small market for about 2 years, and then you move up. So, it's not as great. But sometimes if it's crazy breaking news, if it's the Newman police officer, you got a photog and you're with them, and you're doing walk and talks and all the whole 9 yards. So luckily in Fresno, you don't really ever see someone doing their own live shot. You will have a photographer behind the camera. Again, the main thing is, I'm super strict about it. It's safety, man. It's safety. You never, and also by the way, my photog, you can't see what's going on behind him. So I'm eyes for him, he's eyes for me. It's just, yeah, it's really good. Any other questions on that? Fred, outside? No, it's totally fine. So, anyways, that's kind of like the day-to-day thing of being a broadcaster. However, I know a lot of you guys mentioned not wanting to be in front of the camera. I feel like I'm kind of an odd, you want to be in front of the camera. I'm going to tell you, again, I had mentioned to you guys, I never thought that I wanted to be in front of the camera. The coolest thing about it, you guys, is you literally get to talk. My whole job is getting to know people and getting to know a community, and then not telling people about it, showing people about it. Someone over here mentioned the tone. You mentioned using video. Was it video to set the tone of something? Let me tell you, that's what I do all day. Taking video, and here's the thing, there are ethical boundaries you follow as a reporter, so you can't like highly edit things. So whatever I show on TV is exactly what happened in like at the time, real time. So you show them and you literally let the audience see and hear what happened. There are some really cool stories that you'll see, like once you learn like some of the creative usages of sound. Oh my gosh. Has anyone ever seen the movie WALL-E? Yeah. What makes WALL-E very special? Robots not talking?
More so the lack of sound.
Lack of sound.
Dialogue.
Yeah. For 45 minutes, there are no word. No word. There are no words. There's no dialogue. But do you understand what's happening? Not only do you see it, but you hear and you feel that there's a style. You see what's going on and you feel what's going on by just their small noises, right? Small noises, the colors they use, everything like that. It's setting the tone of like this little love story and his like, I think he was like sad, I haven't watched it in years, but right, like he's a little sad robot at the beginning. You go through that. That's a beautiful example of using visuals and sound to tell a story with no need for words. The best stories that you will ever see from a reporter, a broadcast reporter, have very little of them in it. So if I want to see and hear something, I know I've been using an example, but let's just continue at fire. What does fire sound like? You know what a fire sound is, right? If it's an emergency, you've got fire trucks coming, absolutely. Do I want to get that sound? Fire trucks coming? Because if I'm telling my story and I start off with that, you know automatically something went wrong. This, going into, the blaze started at 12 noon, 4 families, no home. Cuts to the soundbite of a crying mother with her baby. I thought I lost him. I thought I lost him. And you should only hear me saying, but thanks to Billy Bob, her baby was safe. And Billy Bob's like, honestly, I just heard the crying and I sprung into action. Which is like, actually, oddly enough, we've heard like many heroic stories in fire situations. They happen in weird ways. So if you're ever in a fire, spring into action. They always say that. I just sprung into action. So we let Billy Bob talk, right? I'm gonna let Mom and Billy Bob talk because guess what? I was just there as a witness. I was not in the fire with them. I was reactionary. Sometimes as a reporter, you're in it with them. Sometimes as a reporter, if I have a second, I'll show you guys what's called my resume reel. I'll show you guys mine. But you can see there's one story. I was diving in a canal, like for a rescue for I was like in scuba gear when they were teaching how search and rescue teams pull out cars from canals, because that's like super common in Central Valley, oddly enough. So like that, you can put yourself into that. The other stories, some of the best stories is all visual, that they're all visual and all by what you hear. So that was a great thing. So my fun job is not just talking to these people, it's when I'm writing thinking, okay, I've got Mom crying, man, I've got the sirens, but man, that fire, that was the most compelling video. But you know what I want? I want people to watch the stories. You know what I do? I start with a fire. That's like it. You see flames, someone goes, you start with the fire. It all started at 12 noon. Fire trucks. Then you go in with Mom. But thanks to Billy Bob, I just sprung into action. Boom. There's very little of my voice. Those are the best storytellers. Sometimes when it's a boring political story and you just don't have a lot, you got to be there and you got to talk about it. But the best storytelling is in that, and it's pretty incredible when you can do that. Video. So the fun thing is right now, you guys, there's a lot changing in our world. Whether the video you're creating is for a general broadcast or for the web or for digital, I mean, like, our webs are normal. Everything we push to web is also visual on an app or a phone, so our formatting makes it, but sometimes you do something just for an app. Sometimes you make a video just for web. We have web-only stories that people do. So I get to use camera, tripod, lighting kit. I have a portable light in there, 2 different microphones in there, and on top of that, I can run out different equipment. So I like to use a GoPro whenever I can. It shows a different perspective of things. And like, can I just tell you right away, if I know someone's going into something, I will strap a GoPro to them and send them on their way. See what we get back. Because they're in there doing that. Firefighter helmet camera video, we use that whenever we can get it. Police officers have chest cams now, so we use those. We get that footage. These also shows what happens in there, you know? So one of my favorite things that I get to do is use the camera. You try not to always tell your news director that, because like if they can send you with a photographer, it's way easier for your day. But again, I can choose whatever I want to film. And I can also edit in my own way. So I kind of like that. Who here plays with cameras right now? Yeah, duh, because all of you guys are in the classrooms. What cameras do you guys use in your classrooms?
We use the Canon HD, the 70, and the Rebel T6.
Love that. T3Is, any type of digital is beautiful. Love that. Anyone else had anything different that they use? So because of formatting, because of sound, so the Canons that you mentioned, they don't have as solid of sound for breaking news situations. So these Sonys are what we use. JVC. This is a JVC. I normally use a Sony. Sorry. We have Sonys and JVCs. But again, you can always see yourself, blah, blah, blah. White balance on here, everything. Now question, do you guys think that I can change the color of a video?
Yeah.
Yes. So, ethically speaking, you cannot. Which is because you never want to alter the way someone looks or what they say. So, in reporting and journalism, you can adjust the brightness. Because here's the thing. Not every reporter is good at white balancing, which is very sad, and they should be. However, sometimes people, or if something crazy were to happen right now, you know what I'm going to do? Immediately run off, and I'm just going to straight up put this in all auto, and I'm going to run. I'm going to run with the camera. I'm going to get the best video I can because we have no time. So in that case, you should never shoot in full auto, but some people do. But in a breaking news situation, you can shoot in all auto, but you should always be shooting with the best lighting and the best sound so that you have very little work to do by the time you're editing. You don't want, if there is one recommendation, if I can give any of you guys, like any of you who are camera people who love it. It's just like when you, honestly, who here's like obsessed with Instagram? Okay. It's just like when you take the perfect picture with the perfect lighting and you don't have to touch it and you don't have to edit it, and also you feel good about yourself. Boom. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. I just have so many friends that like edit like their faces and it looks fake, and I'm like, that's so bad. Anyways, just, yeah. We can all tell. We know when you do it. So by the way, if you do it, like, be better editors. So, or take the picture in good lighting. By the way, overcast is like the best lighting. If you want to take any photo or video today, true. It's the best lighting.
Right now.
Yes. Anyone wants a selfie today, take it outside. So, real talk. Honestly, it's all about lighting and it's about color. But we have to shoot, you know what lighting sucks? Fluorescent overhead lighting. Classrooms, oh, it is the worst. The worst. So like normally I have this headlight or this light for the camera that I throw on and that I work with that and then have to adjust my white balance. Way better than fluorescent. But I mean, it's ugly. Like people just like don't look as good. They look grungy. So like you have to play with your lighting, which means if you guys are doing something that's in broadcast, whether you want to be in front of the camera or behind the camera, learn how to use these beautifully and learn your own style of shooting. You need to keep all of your lighting as true to color and consistent as possible because again, like ethically speaking in journalism, you're not supposed to change the color. Again, you can change the brightness if it's really bad. Like if something happened and you come back and like it's warped of some way, but you have to put a credit saying this video was edited. Because you know what people don't want? Edited video where they think that you've taken something out and it's not true. Pentagon Papers is just a really good example, but like that's like a history lesson, so that's for someone else. But if anyone knows the Pentagon Papers, you will learn about it. Who here wants to go to journalism school? Okay. Okay, where do you all want to go? I think you're all ladies, but
I want to go to Fresno State, but I'm not sure because I also want to study political science with it.
do the two. Savannah Guthrie's a good example.
I also don't know.
Totally fine.
I'm not really like sure about it, but last year I was looking into the art institution.
Awesome. They have a great program.
I was thinking about Fresno State, but also like still looking into it.
Yeah.
Fresno State.
Right. Fresno State will fully teach you guys how to use their cameras, and also one thing that's great when you go into a journalism program, they teach you programming, though it may not be the most, it is for the broadcast world, but may not be the most high tech for photography or something of the sorts. They're going to teach you the best cameras that are in the industry right now that stations you go to will use, so that you are not scared or left behind when you get into a station. So I personally have a Canon T3i at home. It doesn't have the best sound, and we are very much sound snobs in the broadcasting world, so like we personally do not use those. If I was sitting down and doing a documentary with our creative services team, we would use a different type of digital camera. But for all, basically 90% of news content is on one of these bad boys. Also, this tripod is oddly thin for a news tripod. If you see if anyone sees me out there or another reporter out there, those men and women are literally like hiking up these big old tripods. And the reason is because the weirdest stuff happens to us. I have like 3 changes of clothes in my car. Right now I have my snow clothes, my farm clothes, as well as my galoshes, because almost never am I in a carpeted room. This is like if I were at city council. It's great. But normally I'm out in the elements, I'm on a farm, something like that. So they have very large tripods that like really help secure everything, and have the best head movement for their tripod so that they can go around and pan in different things. So this is actually very light, and it's because I am what's considered an MMJ today. So I knew I was going to be out traveling with this, and that I wasn't going to need to be like outside doing weather coverage in the wind with like sinking ground underneath me. So you can kind of choose that, which is great. Now, has anyone here learned like basic shooting elements so far in their class? I don't really know. Yeah? Have you guys learned about sequencing? Like shooting and sequencing? Yeah? So anything that you guys learn that you want to do, if you want to go into film, if you wanted to go into broadcasting, or if you want, honestly, to go into photojournalism, or be a photographer, whether you want to be a wedding photographer, a portrait photographer, breaking news photographer, a photojournalist for a newspaper, digital outlet, whatever, or to sell or have your own small business, learn to shoot in a sequence. That is just the basic of all shooting. Wide shot, medium shot, close-up, extreme close-up. Extreme close-ups are where the emotion happens. Yeah, I'm setting the scene, I'm showing this. Boom, straight into someone's eyes with a tear. Tearjerker. Yeah. So learn those very, very early on. Now, I think a lot of you like nodded your head of like what that you guys have like learned that. There are 3 different classes, right? In this technically, you guys are broadcasting, and then the other 2 classes are what?
Like advanced and then the beginning.
Can I have each group? I know you guys are like diversified in here, but tell me what you're currently learning. So I'll start with like normal film class. I don't know what it's called.
It's video production 1,
Video production 1.
2, and then broadcast.
Okay, video production 1. What are you guys currently learning? Who's in video production 1? Awesome. Okay, so what are you guys learning right now? I just need one. You said you want to be a broadcaster. What do you think? You don't, I just chose you because I remember that. But what are you guys learning?
Well, we're making videos right now, and we're learning color.
Okay, that's awesome. And also, so you're using Premiere, right?
Yes.
Premiere is really fun and it's really good. Did you learn the shortcuts on the keyboard? I had someone tell me something. I hope this is like appropriate to share, but someone said, yeah, you need to learn how to edit and you should always know how to edit it, but you become an editor and have a job and make money by knowing shortcuts. Meaning if you want to be a quick editor and get more content in at the end of the day, and this is not like the broadcasting world, this is just in general, whether you want to be I know all the shortcuts, but with something like that, so learning the ins and outs of the program is so important because you'll learn shortcuts that you like for what you want to finish. So again, whether it's a photo or video, it's super important. What else are you guys learning? You're in that class too?
Yeah.
What are you guys learning?
Learning how different shot types affect the type of video you make.
Okay, what are some shot types that you've played with?
So, the first week we did, the first couple weeks we did, like establishing shots
Mhm.
to show where you are, and close-ups to show the motion, medium close-ups just to show kind of like what's going on around.
Yeah, kind of some details.
2 shots.
No, perfect. That's literally, those are the basics of what I learned in the journalism school. So the fact that you guys are learning that as your sophomore, as sophomores, juniors, seniors are huge. Because that's what a lot of people, I'm not kidding, learn their first market when they're in Tyler, Texas or Springfield, Missouri. So keep that in mind, whatever you guys do. And I mean, seriously, it's just a photography 101 of that. And whatever you see with your eye, you want to show people, right? So production class 2. This table. Closer, you don't have to speak like super loud. Okay, all right, what are you learning?
Well, right now, since we kind of already learned those skills last year, it's more like project-based, so we're making some videos for the Sick Rock Film Festival.
Oh, cool, what kind of video?
Well, everyone's getting to like choose whatever category they want to do, but my group is doing the nutrition PSA one.
Okay, what kind of shots, who are you interviewing, what does it look like?
So we're planning to do it like, I don't know if you've seen those Crash Course 101 videos where you have someone at a table kind of explaining it with like B-roll over it.
Kind of like an informer or something? Yeah. Okay, with like okay. Right on, awesome. And so you guys are doing it for what again?
The Slick Rock Film Festival.
So does it incorporate music as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can.
But it's not a music video, right?
No.
The film festival.
But there's, that's kind of.
Or a cover for
Who's making a music video? Cover with someone.
Original.
By. Yeah, someone's got to draw their face. I wrote that one, whoever does the cover. Okay, so, but isn't that cool? Music videos. Who would love to like make music videos? Yeah. Those are some of the most creative visual storytellers, like honestly, in the world. Because not only do you need to have the right shot, you need to provoke emotion. You need to have the right lighting. So there's so much that you can do. I'm not gonna lie, I actually grew up with people watch it. And then I totally messed myself up because I was like, yeah, totally, I'll be fine, sounds great. Like hung up the phone. So in that moment, it was fine. I didn't mess up, but I probably looked like I was gonna pee my pants. But what I did, the number one thing you just need to do, honestly, look at the camera. Do not allow yourself to get distracted, because guess what? We were on the side of a freeway, off of the freeway going into Oakhurst, because that was the only place we could get cell reception, and there was smoke behind us. And literally, there's cars, right? And I'm like, cars? There's a freaking cliff right over there. Cool. Okay, awesome. And my photog has been in the biz 35 years. So I was like, oh my Kevin, it's close to the veteran, the cliff, the stars. And of course, and guess what? People are honking, right? People are honking. They think they're funny. So my thing, stare at the camera, pretend it's like whoever your best friend is, right? Stare at it, and literally do not pay attention. Like, you have to just focus so hard on that and breathe. Focus hard and breathe. It's silly. The people around you are gonna think you look a little silly until you're better than them. So like, look a little silly, but if any of you guys see me on the side of the road, what I'll probably be doing looks a little silly, but I didn't mess up. So I mean, you just have, that's also a really good relaxation technique if you're nervous for a test. Throw that out there. It's also very good for your mental health. I told you that so passionately. So, focus and breathe. Breathing will help you focus and relax. As you can tell, I talk very quickly, so something that I have to practice is slowing down when I'm talking to the camera or in front of people. Because if not, listen, I have a lot to say and I want to get it in. But you don't want to hear someone frantic on the other side, right? So just slow it down, focus and breathe.
So what would you recommend to kind of like get our foot in the door a little bit if we want to kind of, you know?
Everyone here should intern somewhere, unpaid. You will not get paid. It is the best experience. Some very, very, very few pay. Intern. You guys, college is really scary. College will be fun for a lot of you. You guys will make a lot of weird decisions in college, whatever it may have you. Stay focused. Intern. The classes that matter to you, put your heart into them. It sounds so silly. I loved some of my classes in college. And notice how I said some. I love all of them. The ones that you know are for your future and the career you want, I mean, honestly, put your heart into them. And then in that field, intern. So if you want to go into still photography for a wedding photography business, reach out to one of your ideal photographers that you want to be one day or you want to work for one day. Hey, over my summer, I would love to intern for you. Honestly, volunteer. I would just love to learn from you. Because not only do you gain experience and you see their everyday life, first of all, you learn how to be a young business person and like learn how to interact with people, and you also know the social norms of that industry. And then on top of that, networking. You now know the photographer you've been looking up to. You now know all of her clientele. You now know this. And then people will also remember your name, and they'll remember, oh, Christina, she showed up before anyone got there and she left after everyone was already gone. Good, yeah, she's a hard worker. Yeah, you know what, we should definitely give her an entry-level position. I never had to move to a place smaller than Fresno to get my foot in the business. I started in Phoenix, which is the top 12 largest market. I wasn't either on their ABC station, I was working for Arizona PBS, but I was still on air in a top 12 market when I was 23. That doesn't happen often. I wasn't very good, but they gave me the chance because they knew my work ethic. If there's anything in this business that will get you very far, it's your work ethic. Because you're not always going to be the best. I am by far not the best. By far. I work with people who have been there 35 years. But I'm always going to outbeat someone work ethic-wise. I don't care if you want me to drive an hour and a half to go get to a story that's going to play for a minute 30. Awesome. I'm going to make it the best story to that person. Because you know what? The people I've interviewed, they want to give it justice. You want to give it justice, your face and your name, and those people are all relying on you. And the community is trusting you for things that impact them. So like push at that every single day. That's huge. So wherever you can intern, do it. Email addresses, phone numbers, shake someone's hand. When I walk out of here, every single one of you should know how to contact me. If you have questions in high school and college, just to get someone's opinion on something. Absolutely, this is a networking opportunity right here. Your professors, your teachers, guess what? So a lot of them, this is not their first job. Big surprise. Yeah, guess what? They have friends. They have coworkers. Guess what? They have knowledge. They have a college degree. They have former professors. They also had former high school teachers. All people in industries that someone just may know someone to help you out. And that's what the work industry is, not even just the broadcast industry. My news director at KC24, I met when I was in college. I was president of the Associated Press Television Radio Association. It's called RTDNA. And I'm sorry, APTRA. They're two different organizations, very similar. APTRA, APTRA is what they call it. So I was president of that student organization. It's basically broadcast kids. We got to go to a camp that was held down in Calabasas that our student government paid for us to go to, so I advocated for that funding every year. So we would all go down there, and a main news anchor named Hal Eisner, who works for Fox down there, who has for 30 years in LA, not to mention the 25 years he had before. He's worked down there for so long. He mentors students in college, giving them real-world breaking news experience with photographers who currently work in the industry. And then they have real news directors go down there to mentor you. Chad McCullum from CBS 47 at the time, he was a CBS 47, was one of the people watching my video. And I asked him a bunch of really stupid questions, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I said, well, wow, in Fresno, I don't know much about that market. He told me all about it, and he said, well, if you ever have any questions, please stay in touch. Right then and there, I followed him on Twitter. I got his email address on a pink Post-it note. I saved that with all of my business cards. When I was looking for a job from Phoenix to my next market, I shot him an email. I found his updated email address. We're both KC24 and CBS 47 in one building. We're owned by the same parent company, so we have 2 studios, 2 sets of staff, but 1 news director. I shot him an email. Guess what? He took a look at my resume reel. I stayed in touch with him for 6 years. Not stayed in touch. I kept his, let me say that. I kept his contact information for 6 years. But he remembered me when I mentioned that. Hey, I was actually one of your students out at the Actor Academy. Oh, yes, you went to Arizona State, right? Yeah. Always save that contact information. Always, 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 always. It's really, really big. What else? And that's any industry, you guys. And if you wanted to go into the grocery world, same thing. Start bagging, get emails. Yeah. Questions? You guys, we have 5 minutes. Who wants to play with the camera? Yeah. Who wants to film each other? Yeah. Who wants to be the subject? Who just wants to be the subject? Okay. Whoever can walk up here quickly enough gets to be. You guys are in the broadcasting class. You can't. I'm sorry. One of you guys. You two. Just come up. Be the subject. Okay. We can watch. We'll monitor. Okay. Okay, you're gonna loop this under your sweatshirt, and you're gonna clip this right here on this side, okay? And I'll help you at the very end of it. You two are gonna stay just like you were, but really, really close together. You just have to speak louder because of my husband, okay? So, broadcasters, mic placement, very important, all of the time. So, you're actually good. No, you're good. You're actually gonna be sitting on the other side now. I just switched it. So, actually, broadcasters, come up here really quickly. Here. So mic placement's super important. You never ever want to see the cord to a wireless microphone. Do you guys practice this? So you never want to see the wire, just you guys in the class right now, you never want to see the wire, ever. It looks so bad. So we had him put the wireless microphone in his pocket. You're going to take that cord, you're going to wrap it and put it in your pocket. He's now hands-free. I had him put the lav mic on this side, but I have 2 of them. So where should I have Nathan sit or stand if I want to hear his voice? On that side. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Okay, you guys are both going to, I'll have you stand. You guys are both going to stand right there?
Yeah, sit down.
All right, who wants to interview them? Yeah, come up here. All right, do you work with tripods? Sort of? Yeah, I'm gonna grab a new battery. So, I want you to frame the perfect shot. Or do you want to answer, or did you want to ask questions?
I'll ask the questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna frame the right shot. We're gonna pretend that other camera's not there. Okay, so you two, I want you guys both, your shoulders facing me, standing very close together. All right, so depth of field, we don't want the camera in their face, do we? Now, anyone who's playing with cameras, where should the camera height be? Eye level. Good call, good call. Now, we always want to make sure we level the tripod wherever it may be. Okay? No, you're good. Here. Well, okay, so I have a question for you guys. If I'm interviewing someone, do I want them looking at the camera or at me? At you. Yes, you always want them looking at you. So, gentlemen, I actually want you guys to stand at an angle. What's your name? Hasoon? Hasoon. Can I have you one step this way? Okay. Are you guys okay if I touch your shoulders?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I just have to ask. Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. So both of you guys.
Like how no, like the first video production class. Yeah, you guys are in class one. You're in class two? Yeah. Oh, you're the kid that
Oh, you're the kid they were talking about. Okay.
Are you in first period?
Yeah, he's in the first period advanced class.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of confusing.
All right, guys. So you always want to focus where? Class. Where do you always want to focus? Eyes? Sit. Yes, you always want to focus on their eyes. Okay. So, how you guys feeling?
Feeling good.
Okay. All right. So, what's the first question I should always ask someone? Yes. All right, ask me.
Okay. Could you guys please state your name?
My name is Hassan.
My name is Nathan.
My name is Hassan Sarwar.
My name is Nathan Luigi.
Can you guys please both spell both of those for me?
My name is spelled HASSOONSARWAR.
My name is spelled NATHANLUCI.
Can I get ages for both of you, please?
I'm 15 years old.
I'm 15 years old.
All right, and go ahead and tell me what grade you guys are in.
I'm currently a sophomore at Menachie High School.
I'm also a sophomore in high school.
Okay. Why do I have to ask those boring questions?
So that you know, like, a little bit about it.
Right.
And you can, like, refer to them.
You got to refer to them. It's kind of considered like guess what you got to ask? Who, what, when, where, why, how. Always. So who, there you go. And I've got to get it correct. Your mom would call me out in the newspaper or on the news like, that's not my son's name, that's not my son's name. There you go. You got to ask the boring questions. You get them done first. All right, so whatever subject you want to go into. Okay, I'm going to break the production class. You can ask hard questions.
Okay. So I'm a Pathway ambassador representing MTA, and I want to know your guys' opinion on
We want to do in our future.
Yeah, I agree with the scene. I think it's helping kids out and showing them like what it's like to actually produce something and have a creation of your own and letting other people see it and enjoy it.
Now I have a question for you guys on that. Both of you, why do you think it's so important to invest into high school students in career-driven classes like this so early on?
Well, I think our district gives us a great opportunity because all throughout our district are different high schools. There's pathways spread out throughout the high schools. For example, our crosstown rivals, Portable, they offer like a health pathway. So that's something that people who are interested in going in the health field, it's for them. So it really it gives us a feel for what what our future is going to be like. So it gives us like an introduction.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to focus on high school students and the younger generation because we are the future and where it's going to happen like later on in the years, and we're going to focus on the younger kids too once we're older. It's kind of pay it back.
What's the question too? All right. Anyone else really quickly want to ask one question? Anyone else want to be an interviewee? Or you got one? Okay, run. We've got 30 seconds. Run. This is also breaking news experience. Breaking news. Please tell me your name.
Shane Hall.
Shane, ask him. Shane, you always want to watch your audio levels. Okay, Shane, what do you want to ask these two? Ready, go.
This question is just for Hassan Sarwar.
Oh, God.
Why are you so mean to me and Avid?
No comment.
Why are you mean to us on Instagram?
No comment.
What did he ever do to you?
Ask about the basketball game.
Ask another question.
Nathan Lucci, why are you so annoying in third period? I'm just trying to do my work. I can hear you across the classroom.
Because I'm glad I like to talk.
I like to call this confrontational journalism. We got our investigator right here. So you guys, I just want to show you guys, you always want to watch audio levels. Hello, gentlemen. That is you. That is your shot. So I filmed it, so I can send it over to you. It was silly. But anyone have any last minute questions? You guys have to leave in like 30 seconds. Contact information. I like that. I will make sure I get that to you with my work email. Mr. Stiles also has it. If anyone has any questions, we didn't get to play with the camera as much, but if you guys have any questions or if you ever want to reach out or if anyone would ever like a tour up in Fresno of the station, please let me know. Reach out. I will make sure that you guys have my email address from Mr. Stiles, and good luck. It's really exciting. Can I take a picture with all of you guys? Do we have time? Can everyone just like smush in? Smush. It's totally weird. I've actually loved this one, so I'm so hard to like try to actually do a drive shame back to Selma. I was like.